Hi, I'm Michael Happ. I am the Program Associate for Climate and Rural Communities at the Institute for Agriculture and Trade Policy. We're excited to release a new report from IATP. It's called Costly versus Cost Effective, and it's looking at one USDA conservation cost share program called the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. That's known as EQIP. And basically what EQIP does is if a farmer has a conservation need on their farm, if they look out into their field and they see erosion going on, or if they want to add trees or a buffer between their field and the stream, EQIP can help them pay for that. It can be a reimbursement program. It can help low-income farmers pay the cost up front with anywhere between 50 and 75% cost share. EQIP can help farmers adapt to climate change, build resilience on their farm, even reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And a lot of EQIP practices are eligible for climate smart funding. There's a whole list of practices that are considered climate smart by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and that's eligible for a lot more funding through the Inflation Reduction Act. And it's helped a lot of farmers do a lot of great conservation practices on their farms. But unfortunately, a lot of EQIP money goes toward large-scale industrial practices. And when I am talking about industrial-scale practices, these are practices that are only useful for large-scale operations. For example, anaerobic digesters, that's the sort of practice that only works if you've got over 500 cows or over 2,000 hogs, or trucking in manure from that many animals. And there are other practices like waste storage facilities that, really only help confined animal feeding operations, right? A lot of potentially thousands of animals cooped up in one place where you need to liquefy the manure and keep it stored in a big storage facility. Yeah, so we still find that 2 out of 3 farmers who apply to EQIP are being turned away. And on top of that, we looked at all the different EQIP practices, how much money is going toward them, and how many farmers are served by those practices. And there were just 10 EQIP practices that cost over $50,000 per contract. Those 10 practices took up about 11% of the funding, 10 out of 150 EQIP eligible practices. We also looked at a couple of states for kind of examples of how funding large-scale operations can come at the expense of small-scale folks. In Vermont, for example, just 2 anaerobic digester contracts cost over $840,000. With that money, you could instead fund hundreds of conservation-covered contracts, costing anywhere between $3,000 and $6,000. Those are the sorts of small-scale contracts that can help small-scale farmers build resilience in their soil, build economic resilience, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So Congress is still debating the Farm Bill. They're writing drafts right now in the Senate and the House, and there are a couple of recommendations we have that can help solve this problem. For one, we think the payment limit for EQIP should go down. Right now, a farmer can receive up to $450,000 through EQIP over 5 years. We think that should go down to $150,000 so that instead of funding these large-scale operations, we can fund more small-scale and mid-scale folks. We also think that some practices should be removed from the climate smart list. For example, anaerobic digesters, they've been found to increase herd sizes, and the greenhouse gas reductions are not as strong as sometimes advertised. We also think that there should be more of an emphasis on organic practices that reduce the need for synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, and really focusing in on nitrous oxide as a greenhouse gas, which we know agriculture is a huge contributor to nitrous oxide emissions. Is a very potent greenhouse gas. So if people want to learn more, they can read the report at iatp.org.